non-stop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
Was a big part of my decision. I've looked up to his game, since we both came in the league. And, I played with his brother Mike out in Philly when I was first drafted. And me and EK have kind of crossed paths here and there. But always from afar, I've admired his game. And so when the opportunity presented to be able to come in and play alongside him on a defense with great leadership, with great talent, it was really a no-brainer.
I can say Jordan Hicks is a massive human being.
Oh, he's huge.
My God. Look at that guy.
A specimen. And seems to be an extremely, extremely articulate man as well. He's very, very good at the podium. Be a good quote next season.
He is a good quote. The Vikings have a couple good quotes at linebacker. Eric Kendricks and Jordan Hicks are going to be good quotes.
Barr didn't say too much back in the day.
No, he was a man of few words. TCL is a company of many televisions. They have a new lineup of award-winning TVs delivering the most entertainment with stunning resolution, all at an affordable cost. Enjoy more of the things you love with TCL. Thanks to TCL and Surly Brewing Company for supporting this daily Vikings tomfoolery. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. Mackie Judd, our executive producer, Declan. We got to hit the breaking news off the bat here. As the Vikings build their roster towards Super Bowl contendership, they have officially brought back Sean Mannion.
Oh!
Sean Mannion is the Vikings' backup quarterback for 2022. If you're wondering whether the Vikings are really running it back or not, I think this solidifies it for anyone that was on the fence. That quarterback room will include Sean Mannion yet again. I'm pumped for it because I, unlike Judd, have moved past the resistance of what they've done with Kirk Cousins here, okay?
Spies.
I am all about making Kirk feel as comfortable as possible going forward while you sit and dig your heels in.
My spies told me as of the weekend, Mannion considering offers from the Vikings, the Browns. The Browns were on the fence. They're like, Watson or Mannion? The Colts. The Colts were like, well, we could trade for Matty Ice, but Mannion's out there. It's been difficult, but he decided to come back to where he's comfortable.
So at least that quarterback room will be comfortable, and it'll feel very similar. I'm wondering, how much are the Vikings paying their shadow general manager Rick Spielman to make these moves here so far the past 6 weeks? Quasey, you go do the press conferences, and we'll talk to you in a few weeks. All right, Rick, come back. Rick,
you just hear this in the background. Just coming from hey, that sounds familiar. No, it's nothing.
So we're celebrating Sean Mannion coming back. He looks great in purple. Maybe Sean Mannion can just be the third quarterback this time around, though. Maybe they can coach up Kellen Mond to actually come into a game if Kirk Cousins can't play. But anyhow, the other thing that came across this morning, boys, the Godfather himself has a 3.0.
I want a mock!
That's right. The Godfather of mock, Mel Kiper. Hot off the presses on ESPN.com. If we could get the appropriate music here, please. Mm-hmm. I don't proceed with Godfather mock unless
ball got dropped there, didn't it? Ball got dropped over there. Appropriate music not being played.
It's my cue to go forward with the mock draft here. All right, I have not looked at this, so we're all sort of being surprised pick by pick here from Mel Kiper's 3.0. Starting with the Jacksonville Jaguars, drafting Aiden Hutchinson, number 1 overall. All right. Mm-hmm. Kyle Hamilton going number 2 to the Lions. So this is becoming a thing now. Like the Ringer has this, Kiper has this. So Kyle Hamilton, the safety from Notre Dame. Wow. He also says Kayvon Thibodeau may be in play here as well, but the top offensive tackles are not an option for the Lions. They are set with Taylor Decker and Penei Sewell. All right, the Texans at number 3, they're taking a tackle, Ikwonu from North Carolina State. It looks like they're sticking with Davis Mills at quarterback for this year.
Yeah. Guy taken right after Kellen Mond.
Hell of a neck. You've seen that guy's neck?
Oh, pencil neck?
It's not a pencil neck. It's
or what?
It's the opposite.
It's
humongous.
huge. Okay.
So it's not like Mike Glennon neck?
No, it's not like Becklin or Mike Glennon neck.
That's my first thought.
This is a
Merton Hanks?
neck.
It's like if you were to take Merton Hanks or Mike Glennon's necks and turn them sideways, basically.
Okay.
That's kind of like
Merton Hanks had one of my favorite necks of all time.
he did. All right, number 4, the New York Jets taking receiver Drake London from USC. The Giants taking offensive tackle Evan Neal from Alabama. The Panthers at 6 taking Trayvon Walker, the defensive end from Georgia, which brings us back to the Giants at 7. Kayvon Thibodeau, the edge rusher from Oregon. Falcons at 8 taking Garrett Wilson, wide receiver, Ohio State. And he did put this together after the Matt Ryan transaction. So, he's got the Falcons, I don't know. He says, well, they did sign Marcus Mariota, so they're going to take a flyer on him. No guarantee that they love Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett enough to make them a top 10 pick. He's got the Seahawks taking Charles Cross, offensive tackle from Mississippi State. So no quarterbacks yet. The Jets at 10 taking Sauce Gardner, the cornerback from Cincinnati.
Okay.
The Commanders taking Derek Stingley Jr., the cornerback from LSU.
Liz Frank, foot injury, worries me.
And that brings us to the Vikings. So all of the quarterbacks are on the board, but at this point, Cousins is locked in through 2023. I almost feel like it would be a waste to draft a quarterback now, knowing that you're probably not going to play him until 2024. So even if you love Malik Willis, I just don't know if it makes sense. You don't want a Jordan Love situation where you just wasted a first-round pick. So, before I read you the pick here, what are you guys thinking?
Okay. Position probability here, cornerback, although two of them are gone. Defensive end. I will say this. I think the Vikings 100% here go defense. So I don't think it's an offensive side of the ball guy. And I am going to say Godfather Mockdex, I'm just going to guess here that he will go with a pass rusher for the Vikings. What's your guess?
I'm guessing with the run on corners happening here, because Phil said the last 2 picks were cornerbacks, right? And Sauce and then
Sauce and Stingley.
Yeah.
I bet it continues.
Okay.
I bet it continues. I bet the run on cornerbacks continue.
Declan is correct. With
Nice.
Trent McDuffie, cornerback Washington, coming off the board here to the Vikings.
Bill Mackey scouted.
That's right. Oh yes, I've watched
You've
all of
watched
his
a lot of
games in
McDuffie
person.
film.
That's right. So here's the write-up. The Vikings have used first-round picks on 4 cornerbacks since 2013. Can you name them all?
Since
He's
when?
got them right here. Since 2013. Who are the first-round cornerbacks?
Trey Waynes, Mike Hughes, Jeff Gladney. Who's the other one I'm missing?
Trey Waynes, by the way, available again. He just got released this morning by the Bengals.
Did you see how much he made for how few games he eventually played in there?
He signed a pretty big contract, right?
Yeah, it was a disaster for the Bengals. For him, it was great.
You said Waynes, Gladney, Hughes. Xavier
Rhodes. Yep. None of them are on the roster right now, and the guys who drafted them, Zimmer and Spielman, are gone too. This is still a need position for new general manager Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and coach Kevin O'Connell. McDuffie is the real deal. The stat you'll see most often is that he didn't allow a single touchdown in coverage over the past 2 seasons, and he goes all out on every play. Expect him to be a day 1 starter, and that's what they need.
Yeah,
they need someone that's what's tough here is there might be some developmental guys that have higher upside, but you really do need, with the way that you're going about your offseason so far, someone that can come in and just start and lock it down as best as they can as a rookie, right?
And you need right now, so let's just say that Dantzler can start outside. So let's just say that he's in there, plugged in. You still need 2 starting corners because the nickel guy now plays what? Approximately something like 55%, 60% of your snaps.
Yep.
So it's not just 1, it's 2. And when I covered Donatel with Packers in 2003 and 4, at that time, and that was a 4-3, Donatel used a ton of dime packages, which meant they had 5 defensive backs. So the point being is defensive backs, they need people who can basically play and play a lot right now, which is why the more I think about it, Patrick Peterson's probably back. Now it's probably not expensive, and it's a, I would guess 1-year contract. But if you bring back Peterson, who's still good, he's not great, but he's good, and Dantzler can play, and you draft one, you still need at least
who's your slot
one more.
Then? Yeah.
You don't have one right now.
Yeah. I mean, would you there's Dantzler's an outside guy.
Chris Boyd, I don't trust.
McDuffie's an outside guy, right?
Yes, and Chris Boyd, I'm sorry. Chris Boyd to me is a special teams guy.
Yeah.
If he makes the roster.
There's always guys that you can find, for some reason, slot cornerbacks are never break the bank guys, and so there's always stopgap dudes. They found Captain Munnerlin for a couple years.
Yeah. They're not break the bank
Mackenzie
guys,
Alexander for a couple $1 million.
Incredibly important.
Oh, I agree. I'm just saying in terms of
a
stopgap. Right,
yeah.
but what are their options? Their options are they're not going to draft a slot guy in the first round. So they have to go find a bargain bin slot cornerback, right?
But they got to do a good job here. That's the point. They are going to try to win games. So your defense has to go if your offense can go top 10, which you probably should, right? If your offense can go top 10, your defense has to be what? Top 15?
To accomplish what? To win a
to
Super
accomplish
Bowl?
No. To make the playoffs and make a run, but to fulfill what the Vikings want. The Vikings for 2022, right or wrong, clearly have we're going to run things back and we're good. So if you are going to make the playoffs and then I would guess win at least a game, your defense, if your offense is reaching its optimal height, what does your defense need to be? A top 15 defense?
That's a good question in that my answer I think is going to be a little bit different than you're expecting here. I think if you go out and sign J.C. Tretter to be your starting center, which I'm going to keep pushing that until it's a non-possibility. And by the way, I took a stroll through J.C. Tretter's dad's Twitter account yesterday.
Oh,
he's liking a lot of Viking stuff.
He's liking a lot of Viking stuff.
Yep.
And he might it might just be that the Vikings fans are more noisy about signing his
son. Don't make another
dad
dad delete his Twitter account because Phil Mackey brought it up on this show. I mean, God bless him.
Don Cousins. Come back, Don. This is a safe
Cousins,
space.
active on Twitter, sharing his thoughts, and now it's gone because Phil opened his big trap.
Come back. Well, it's funny because Don was just liking anti-Zimmer and anti-Spielman tweets, not realizing that these are public. People can see this. Why is he so thin-skinned, dude? You're on Twitter. It's whatever. You don't like Mike Zimmer.
Anyway.
Nobody liked Mike Zimmer at the end. Come back to Twitter, Don.
Mr. Tretter, please don't leave.
But if they sign J.C. Tretter and they make the huge leap from Garrett Bradbury to one of the top 5 centers in the NFL, and you finally pair Kirk with a collaborative, offensive-minded coach, and you got all your weapons coming back, and Irv Smith's coming back. I think, and I should say the Vikings in 4 years so far with Cousins have ranked between 10th and 14th almost every year. I think every year they've been no higher than 9th or 10th, but no lower than 15th to 20th in terms of points per game offensively. I think there'd be a real chance to jump up around 5th, 6th, or 7th if you're just all in with a really good offensive line or at least an above average offensive line. Mm-hmm. And in which case, if you have the 5th best scoring offense in the NFL and you're averaging almost 30 points a game, your defense, if it comes in around 15th, 16th, and they're pretty good situationally in the red zone and on third down, you can make a run. You can definitely make a run. But if it's going to be more of the same old and the offensive line is going to be rickety and Kirk's going to sort of melt under pressure, then your defense needs to be top 10 if you want to do something significant. But I think the leap for the offense is a shorter leap than the leap for the defense.
I agree completely. But so if they max out, if they are going great guns, if it is working, the defense has to be, because it's not going to be great. But with Mike, we thought, my God, it has to be top 8, top 5. This defense, to me, with a lot of components that are question marks, has to be, I would say, around 15. I can take 15.
If they're a top 10 offense, I think if they're good situationally on defense, they can be the 20th defense in points. and they can probably still make the playoffs.
Bend, don't break.
Bend,
Yeah,
don't
that's
break.
exactly right. Yes.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
where you have to
thinking.
be.
Because they're going to bend.
So if they
And then
do
bend some more.
if they if they draft Trent McDuffie, and now presumably you would have McDuffie, and I don't know, people are like down on Dantzler. Dantzler's been solid. Dantzler has graded out well. PFF. Dantzler is he Darrelle Revis in his prime? No. But if for me personally, if the Vikings win into the season with Cam Dantzler as one of their starting outside cornerbacks, I'm fine with that.
And they're going to. They
And
have to.
I'd almost rather than spend Patrick Peterson's money on something else that can help you, like edge. And who knows? Maybe they wind up with Za'Darius Smith, who we'll talk about in a second here. We're still waiting on news today. Maybe they can clear enough space for Za'Darius Smith and J.C. Treader, and then they draft a cornerback, and now you're sitting in a much better spot.
Quickly, can I read some of the strengths from Trent McDuffie's draft combine profile? We used to do this on Score North Live back in the day with Rami and Matthew Collar.
I love this. Yeah.
These are some of the strengths. He swivels and stays connected to cross-face routes.
Oh, that's important.
You damn right he does.
That's important.
He twitched up with explosive bursts to close.
Twitched up. He twitched up.
I love Twitch.
He has the juice
We're on
to
it.
bait throws and pounce on them.
Oh, he baits throws.
He baits throws.
You gotta. You know what you do? But you put that line
This
out there.
sounds like someone
Yeah.
put 50 scouting terms and phrases in a
Yes.
bin and just randomized them.
Yes.
Tenacious in the run support.
Yes, he is.
What's the downs? Come on, find me the downsides.
About the weaknesses?
Yes, I like the weaknesses
We
more.
need to
They're
know
more fun.
everything. We need to know everything
Yeah.
about these players.
Weaknesses below average size and length for cornerback 1.
Oh.
Has the potential to improve anticipation. Oh, here's a good one. Here's a good football one.
Don't we all?
It's true, though. Waits for release to begin before squeezing tight. That
Wait,
is
are
an
we-
actual term.
wait.
Want me to read that again?
That's like me after eating like 2 spicy
Are we
tacos for
talk-
dinner.
Are we talking about football still?
Waits for release to begin before squeezing tight.
Don't squeeze the Charmin. Yeah, this is right. You know what we should do? Play a game. Scouting report or porn terms.
Yeah.
What
Declan,
website is
that'd be a
Declan
porn.
really on right
Yeah,
now?
exactly.
Oh, here we
right.
go. One more. No, one more.
It's drafttube.com.
Could have issues banging on big wideouts.
What? What is
That is I'm reading this
Okay,
from
this is crap.
This is
Where's
from
this from?
NFL.com.
Where-
This is from NFL.com.
That's a bunch of crap. hold on.
What is
I'm
happening?
not. It's from NFL.com.
Might have issues. What?
Could have issues banging on big wideouts.
I never thought this would happen to me.
It's amazing.
This is a family first podcast.
Yeah, I was going to say that we have just crossed a line.
Oh my God.
I think I need a drink, boys. Judd?
Oh, let me offer you guys up a, you know what? In fact, you know what? Not just one drink, several drinks from our friends at Surly Brewing, and that is because the Surly Variety Pack of 2022 is out. And, you know, after that, we all need beers, and we need different ones. So I bring you the Furious, I bring you the Havoc Machine, I bring you the Ghost Empire Dark Lager, and then my personal favorite, the Hyper Modern Idaho 7 IPA. Yes, I still love Furious, don't get me wrong, but the Hyper Modern Idaho 7 IPA, well, it is a special beer. Did this really happen to me? Did I really find a beer called the Hyper Modern Idaho 7 IPA? Well, how are you doing? Anyway, check it out. And you know what? When you're drinking your beers, as you were last night, we were all happy in Wildville. You know what you should do? Phil, what should people do?
Show us your cans. That's right.
Show us your taps.
And show us your rides as well,
Oh, yeah.
because it's almost riding season. Dennis Kirk has been a partner of ours from the very start, the last 3 years at Score North. And if you're a motorcycle gal or guy, they've got what you need: parts, accessories, apparel, free shipping on orders over $89, over 160,000 parts and accessories in stock. So whatever you ride, whether it's a Harley, Indian, Metric Cruiser, sport bike, you'll find what you need at DennisKirk.com. They ship today. Ride more, wait less. DennisKirk.com. So we're kind of this could change at any time. We're just in wait and see mode on this Za'Darius Smith stuff. So he's in town for a visit. He's been posting things to his social media, a little photo in Minnesota at the practice facility. He even sent out the "meet you at the quarterback" tweet, made famous by the Purple People Eaters. I don't know. Is he going through like some Vikings museum or something?
Yeah, I bet they took him on a tour. I bet that's exactly right.
Meet you at the
The
quarterback.
museum. Yep.
And then the Pioneer Press, Chris Thomason reported that the Vikings were going to take him to dinner, and usually they wine and dine the big free agents at Manny's Steakhouse downtown Minneapolis. But it's been silent ever since, so news could drop at any point. I think the most important things to point out here on Za'Darius Smith are he's 29 years old and coming off of back surgery. So
Yes.
he barely played last season. But before the back surgery, he says a couple months ago he was quoted as saying, "I feel like a new man." We'll see. Didn't he fail a physical with Baltimore?
That's been rumored.
Okay.
We're not exactly sure, but he definitely had an agreement with Baltimore that he either walked away from because he saw the contracts being that were being given out to pass rushing linebackers, and or something happened with the physical, which, by the way, coming off back surgery wouldn't be that big of a leap to say there might have been something with the physical.
Yeah. So there's some things to work through here, but in 2019, Za'Darius Smith led the NFL with 105 total pressures. That's 7 pressures per
You're
game.
nuts, man.
6 or 7 pressures per game, according to Pro Football Focus, ahead of Nick Bosa, who had 102 pressures that season. So the next year, in 2020, the pandemic year, his pressures dropped down to 59, which was still top 12 in the NFL among edge rushers, and he still tallied 14 sacks after, was it 18 the year before? So, I mean, if this dude's healthy, which is the big if, and you can keep Danielle Hunter on the other side and hope that he's also healthy. There's a lot of ifs here, but
Right.
a healthy Za'Darius Smith and a healthy Danielle Hunter would terrorize opposing quarterbacks. So that's sort of the best possible case scenario here if they do go forward with this.
So with what the Vikings are trying to do here, this makes perfect sense. Like if you are going to bring back your team, right, then this is the type of guy who you probably try to sign to a 2-year contract or something. But this makes perfect sense to add. If this is the plan, and clearly this is the plan, I totally get this move. My only question is this. I still have a weird feeling that the Hunter thing's not done. Like something's going, it just feels weird.
Yeah.
So is this a preemptive strike for that? Or, Phil, back to your point, is this being done ideally so that you can have Smith on one side and Hunter on the other side? That's what I can't figure out at all right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I mean, what would you think if this was bring in Za'Darius Smith and then trade Danielle Hunter for like a 2nd-round pick? I mean, if they're going to do that, I think they have to do it as soon as possible so you can use the
What's
extra
the price
money.
on that? So what would they lose now cap-wise if they traded Danielle?
That's what's unclear. And maybe somebody has done some digging and reporting on this, but the roster bonus is guaranteed,
Right.
but it's not paid out until he reports to camp. And so the minute that you convert it to a signing bonus, it's on your cap.
Right.
So that's why this is fishy.
Right.
Listen, if he's going to play, if he's playing for the Vikings, why are you not converting the roster bonus to a signing bonus? Because you're putting it on your cap. But if it's just a roster bonus, and this is where I'm a little unclear, if they trade him and it remains a roster bonus, does that roster bonus then go over with the new team? I think it does.
This is
you would still clear cap
Yes.
space.
And this is where it feels weird. Like it feels like there's something that's not done here yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that there would be a fighting chance that Za'Darius Smith, if he is signed, would actually be Danielle Hunter's replacement, not teammate.
Yeah.
And then you're still looking for another edge rusher, if that's the case.
And as it stands now, and again, things are so murky with this weird roster bonus because if it's a signing bonus, things get stranger. But according to Over the Cap, if they traded him right now, pre-June 1, it's 11 in dead money, but 14 in savings.
Okay.
So that's how it stands now. But again, I don't know what they're going to do with that weird $18 million roster bonus.
So you'd have dead money, but you'd actually have a little more. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, there's also a good chance that they know that they can convert it, and they're just sort of letting some different chips fall. That, hey, J.C. Treader, We definitely have cap space. We know that we
Right.
have cap space because we can convert this. But if you're not
Right.
going to sign, if they're going to whiff on a couple of these free agents, then does it make sense to just eat that cap in 2022 so that you have more freedom beyond 2022? Because right now what they're doing is they keep shoving money into future seasons to clear room for now, which makes sense if you're trying to put chips on this year's table, which they are, obviously. But yeah, I perfect world, Danielle Hunter and Za'Darius Smith are both Vikings. They're both healthy. They're both in their prime. And you're set at those positions for 2022 and maybe even beyond. But I also have a hard time believing that Za'Darius Smith is going to be able to sign anything other than kind of a 1-year prove it with maybe some guarantees in that second year.
Right. Not with
Or
the
like
back.
he's not anything like a 3-year, $40 million guaranteed situation here with the back surgery from
Right.
6 months ago. So very interesting. And, we'll probably have news later today, one way or the other on Za'Darius, so we can react to it. The other thing from yesterday that's interesting, the quarterback carousel. This is the craziest quarterback offseason that any of us have probably seen, and the audience in their football watching lives, right? So Matt Ryan now headed to the Colts. And with Matt Ryan's trade, Carson Wentz getting traded, a couple weeks back, Deshaun Watson getting traded. And we've heard some rumblings about what Kirk's trade value would have been or was behind the scenes. But now that the picture is becoming clearer with all these trades, I think we know what Kirk's value could or would have been. And so I just want to throw this out. Matt Ryan got traded for a third. Carson Wentz for a conditional second and a third. Deshaun Watson for several firsts. He's younger. He's better. I think this validates that Cousins likely would have slotted somewhere probably somewhere above Matt Ryan and Carson Wentz for performance and age reasons, trade value, but somewhere below Deshaun Watson. So if it would have been 2 second-round picks or a first and a third or a first and a fourth, somewhere in that neighborhood, and you save $35 million to the cap, and then the Falcons went out and just signed Marcus Mariota to be their bridge quarterback in a year in which they're probably not going to win a lot of games, and I believe it's like a $9 million hit for 2022. So ultimately, you would have saved $26 million, downgraded from Cousins to Mariota, but saved money and got draft compensation. That's what this was probably looking like for the Vikings and the decision that they would have had to.
That's what we talked about, right?
The Falcons pretty much did exactly what we
Almost
were
exactly.
talking about. Yeah.
Like they got their hands on our damn show and they stole the script. We weren't talking to you, Atlanta.
And they're going to be awful this season. So the Vikings have a better roster than the Falcons have, just to put that out there.
So if you had offered me, and I think that Cleveland speculation was probably correct. I think Cleveland probably offered 2 seconds for Kirk. I would have done that in my state of mind. Yes. Like it's become very, very clear. The Vikings, the perception at TCO is much different than that at our show. It's just that it just comes down to that. But if you'd offered me 2 seconds, yeah. I do
and you've
think,
been watching football longer than Kwesi has. So, you have more experience.
and I've
watched more
watched
football.
actual games. Well, look, no, here's the thing is I think that Kwesi probably would have done that deal too, but sometimes your hands are tied. Yeah, I think you could have gotten 2 seconds. And the interesting thing, just to go back on Hunter for a second, is I do think the opportunity is there to trade him, but the problem there is the compensation back. So I think the Vikings have offers for Hunter on the table. I think they are not what the Vikings want. And I think the Vikings probably are trying to get a first-round pick, and the teams that they're talking to probably say, Danielle Hunter has played 7 games in 2 years, and back and forth and back and forth
So
they
tough.
go.
Yeah.
But if you had given me 2 second-round picks for Kirk, yeah. But I was okay with starting again. Clearly, the Vikings aren't.
So interesting. Yeah, the Hunter thing, it doesn't feel over. It doesn't feel over at all.
Well,
He's
this
been
whole
upset
thing
with his
about-
contract for like 2 years, so we'll just have to watch it play out.
So the non-conversion of the roster bonus to a signing bonus at this point, it's not the type of thing that stays quiet. So like if it's converted, Schefter gets it, right? Or Rappaport gets it, like it's out there. So the fact that we don't know yet, to me, means that there's another move, and that is the proverbial chip on the table for the Vikings, I think. So yes, that's why it feels like it's not done.
How could we convert fat to muscle, or just like convert fat to nothing? Like who would we turn to just like clear fat space?
So fat space. Okay, now cap space confuses me because I'm bad at math. But when we're talking about fat space, I'm going to tell you right now.
People.
Summer. I was a fat guy. Summer is coming, right? And you right now, you got up this morning and the weather's turning a little bit, getting nicer, and you looked in the mirror and you thought to yourself, I want to lose some weight. Well, that's where my friends, especially with summer on the way, from Livia Weight Control Centers, come in with their best offer of the year. Join today, get 25% off the program, plus 35 meals for free. 25% off, 35 meals for free. You can choose a new virtual or in-person options customized to you, and you could be down 20 pounds or more just in time for summer. Livia.com, 855-GO-LIVEA, LIVEA.com, inside the state or outside. If you want to lose those pounds, follow the Zolgadian program, because if Judd can do it, you can too. Livia, LIVEA.com.
Also, hello to our friends at Federated Mutual Insurance Company. They are pretty much an offensive line for your business. They're always protecting and shielding you against risk, and they're just helping elevate your business to another level. They've been around for over 100 years, and they specialize in specific markets and industries that they know and understand very specifically. So you can check them out at federatedinsurance.com. And remember, at Federated, it's our business to protect yours. Real quick here before we peace out. Just want to fly through a couple of the other notable picks in this Godfather mock 3.0. Mel Kiper. So the Vikings took Trent McDuffie, cornerback Washington. A couple picks later, Tyler Linderbaum, the center from Iowa, went to the Ravens at 14.
Yeah, he's supposed to be great.
Jermaine Johnson, the edge rusher from Florida State, who has been mocked a few different ways to the Vikings at 12, to the Eagles. The first quarterback doesn't come off the board until 18. The Saints taking Kenny Pickett, even after they signed Jameis Winston. And then Malik Willis goes 20th to the Steelers to sit behind Mitch Trubisky for probably a season. And
Big Ben's replacement.
That's right, yeah. Beyond that, let's see here. I'm trying to find other quarterbacks. I think he might only have 2 quarterbacks in the first round. Yeah, Mel Kiper is not. Okay. Matt Corral.
Yay!
Attaboy.
Golden Corral. Yes.
Golden Corral went through my
Pause.
head as I was about to
Matt
say.
Golden Corral.
Corral.
Hey,
He
sometimes
goes
takes a while.
to the Lions at 32. So, interesting. All right. Well, there it is. As we wait for Za'Darius Smith news, maybe he just slept under the table at Manny's. He ate 48 ounces of prime cut and just.
You know what? I wouldn't blame.
I
I wouldn't blame him one bit if he did, man.
So good. They just wheel out like the raw meat.
Yeah,
you get to like
it's
make
great.
eye contact with your dinner and then
It's a great location too. Nice little
pass
place.
out. So, all right, we'll be back maybe later today, depending on what happens with Za'Darius Smith. For sure tomorrow for some write that down predictions and an accountability session. Quasey's going to talk. Quasey's going to talk.
Quasey's gonna talk.
Quasey's going to talk.
What about Ziggy?
tomorrow.
When's Ziggy going to talk?
Ziggy going to talk. But that's a wrap. Purple Daily. We'll see you guys tomorrow or later today. We'll see.